Hey smokers, drug what? Wait, what happened to my channel? Oh shit, I already did a video on that. Seriously though, it's been over 4 months since I did a video with an SSD in it. But SSDs have been involved in videos as recent as 2 weeks ago. But it's still been a little while since the SSD was a little more in the limelight. So today we'll be continuing our series of videos using ideas that you guys provided on Twitter. And in the latest poll concerning the order of when I should do these, I got the response, really old memes. Now my favorite really old meme is, of course, all your base are belong to us, with Numa Numa Guy a close second, and honorable mention goes to Dramatic Chipmunk. Chocolate Rain would probably make it onto a longer list if I made one, and for some reason, Tezonde is following me on Twitter. I wonder if he voted in the poll. But anyway, what took second place in the poll was, quote-unquote, order less, which means I can do these things in whatever order I choose. But unfortunately this week I'll be doing the second thing on the list, mainly because I want to and not because I'm following the list. But don't worry, I'm definitely doing a React OS video sooner rather than later. Now, the second thing on the list is, of course, trying to see how many OSs we can install on a single partition or on a single drive. Now, the latter would be just too easy because you could just partition a drive a whole bunch of ways and get as many operating systems as you want on it. I'm sure there's some sort of limit with certain file systems, but it sounds a little bit too easy. If we're trying to work uphill here, we're going to try to get an operating system like Windows that will automatically detect other versions of itself and try to install over them, into them, upgrade them, or not upgrade at all if it's not an upgrade version. So I have a little diagram here to kind of show you what my thought process has been so far. At this point, I've actually recorded a good 2 or 3 hours of footage, but I didn't actually get anything done. It was totally worthless. And the reason why it was worthless was because I had forgotten all the past lessons from previous videos that I had learned. So to make sure I don't do that again, I made this diagram. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to put all these on one partition. Hopefully we can mess with the boot INI after one installs so that the next one that installs will ignore it entirely, and so on and so forth. Now, I don't know how NTOSs and 9X, I actually forgot to put Windows 98 in there, whoops, and 9X operating systems will get along very well. I don't imagine it's going to be pretty, but we'll see. Now, when Windows XP or Windows 7 or a bunch of other Windows operating systems starts up, they will sometimes, if you have multiple versions installed, it'll give you a selection of operating systems in a list. Now, if I could get a list that looks like Windows 95 NT ME 2K XP in the same list, that would be pretty dope. Is it possible? Probably not. Well, I'm already running into trouble right off the bat, but the problem is not due to any of this shenanigans. I haven't even gotten that far yet. The problem we have right now is, again, forgetting past lessons. Now, you can see here we have our SSD, our Patriot Torch. Now, this is our SATA IDE adapter that has been used in countless videos on this channel. So that's where most of the problems are starting to stem. Now, the only successful configuration that I had while trying to do this was with the Windows 95 machine motherboard. It was the only one that was able to detect it. This is the, I guess you could say, the old Ultimate DOS machine as featured in the Ultimate DOS machine Redempsurrection. It was not able to detect the SATA IDE adapter. Same thing goes for the bad cat motherboard that I introduced. I got it somewhere. It was a piece of crap. And then just because I didn't know what else to do, I tried plugging into a 486 board. So starting with this one, as you can see, this was the only one that worked. The dashed line shows solutions that obviously didn't work. The adapter was detected. The drive, any drive plugged into the adapter was bootable. However, Windows 95 has a problem with any processor that's running at a clock speed higher than, I believe, 1 gigahertz or 1000 megahertz, if I want to keep it plural. And it will just crash sometimes. Sometimes it'll have problems starting up. Sometimes it'll crash, and my problem I was having was it was crashing during the installation of Windows 95 repeatedly. The fucking mouse doesn't work. I'm not quite sure how I figured this out in the long Windows 95 video from way back, but man, I was pulling my hair out trying to figure it out. And I did so again because I forgot that that was a thing. Now, the next one over here, the Intel RC440BX, this is a PCI ISA Pentium 3 board. I thought it was the perfect board for doing this because it would be able to run from Windows 95 to Windows XP. But the adapter itself, the SATA to IDE adapter, was not detected. Any disks plugged into it were just not seen. The board itself also has intermittent power on issues. The computer is now no longer turning on at all. Found the power button. Now it's back to normal again. Or I don't have to turn on the computer with the power supply anymore. I said power off, you piece of shit. Now I'm back to using the power supply to shut it off. And now the power supply can be used to turn it on again. What? Produces intermittent divide overflow errors and other weird things. Our program caused a divide overflow error. Fucking hell. Oh shit, not again. This is pretty old now. Same error. So it's hardware related? Again? Nope, still doing it. Now I can't get it to stop. Because that'll do that. My other drive cables aren't working, man. And it didn't really matter what kind of power supply I used, even though it seemed power supply related. It definitely wasn't that. The bad cat board was, again, a random board that I found, and I tried to get it working with the Pentium 3 from this board by taking it off and trying to plug it into this other board I had never used before. I've never used this motherboard before. And this was and I tried it even after I found out that not only were the caps bulging, but possibly actively leaking. Fuck. And of course it didn't work. Big surprise. And it didn't even fit in the socket correctly, so whatever. Wow, it's hitting the capacitors. As for this last one, the 486 board, it required manual cylinder head and sector assignment, and I don't know how I would be able to do that with A, this, and B, this. How are we going from this to this to this, and then having that translatable into some numbers? I'm sure I could find, there was some sort of formula to figure that out. I don't know how I was supposed to do it, but considering that a board that's probably, oh, I don't know, closing in on 10 years newer than this one, that, actually probably more than 10 years newer than this one, I still don't think it's, if it still can't read this, there's just no way that this is. So, I mean, I was just really grasping at straws at that point. At this point, I sort of have an idea of just what went wrong with this whole video. None of it you've even seen yet, really. I haven't really even gotten to the meat of it. So, if we look down here, we can't use 3 out of the 4 options because our SATA to IDE adapter doesn't work. I don't have any other motherboards that are going to work from that period that Windows 95 is going to like. So this might be what we'll have to stick with just because it can see the SATA to IDE adapter. Now this right here may have some options for changing the clock speed of the processor. I've never tried this before, and every time I try it, it never works. But if I can underclock the processor to something under 1 gigahertz, and Windows 95 might be more stable and not have that bug, and might be able to install no problem. So that's going to be the next thing we're going to have to figure out right now. Okay, so here we are at the BIOS screen of the Windows 98 machine, or rather the Asus A7V. So from here, it's going to give us some controls, hopefully, to change the clock speed of the processor. So right here we can see the current CPU speed. Right now we're in kind of a disabled mode, right, because we're not in manually mode. So I go to manually, and I lost it already. So 12 times multiplier is currently what we're at. So what would a 10 multiplier be? Don't know. I would assume that would take it right to 1 gigahertz, so let's try 9. Since we're underclocking it, it should not have any difficulty. Until, of course, you know, it does anyway. Looks like the overclock failed. Force it to shut down, and let's power back up and see what the error is. And again, we're back to 1200 megahertz. Slurring the last boot up, your system hung for improper CPU speed or DRAM settings. System is now working in safe mode. So it would be that the AMD Duron might not support that clock multiplier. So now I have to look up the specs for the AMD Duron. Now, for anybody who's anywhere near remotely familiar with kind of older school overclocking, would have known that I'm an idiot. But I did do a little bit of research, and there is a possibly simple procedure, what's known as pencil modding. And what you do is you literally bridge the L1, well, bridges with pencil graphite. It apparently conducts electricity enough to bridge those tiny-ass connectors, and it will essentially turn the CPU into an unlocked CPU. Now, this is a relatively safe procedure, assuming that I'm only underclocking the CPU and not overclocking it. That's not where the real danger is. The real danger is if I accidentally get a little bit too liberal with my graphite application, I could fry the processor if I do not bridge the connectors properly. So is this something I really want to risk? That's going a bit beyond anything I normally do on this channel, especially to do something that I don't really know whether or not it's going to help us. It might be wiser to try something along the lines of, oh, I don't know, get a different computer to use it with? Hell, we don't even know if we can install Windows quite this many times on the same partition. It might be a smarter idea to try installing things that we know will work on the system, such as Windows 98, Windows ME, so on and so forth, and see if we can actually get anything working at all without going out of our fucking tree just for the sake of Windows 95. Windows 95 just happens to be a son of a bitch bastard that you have to have all the situations precise in order for things to work how you want them to work. So this is a motherboard I found while I was digging around trying to find the other Asus A7V motherboard. I found this instead. I forgot I had this, and I've used it in several videos already. I'm surprised I didn't remember it. I could have saved myself... I probably wouldn't have saved myself any time. But it's about time. This may be our winner motherboard here. This has an AMD K6 running at 400 megahertz. Pretty slow. Could that even run Windows XP? I have no idea. Windows XP can be installed in some very unfavorable conditions. So we could just build another machine around this board, no problem. Get Windows 95 fired up. Now, the only issue we have is whether or not this motherboard has compatibility with our SATA to IDE adapter. So let's get started. AC power. Power to the power supply. Power on. Hey, we got it. And we got Patriot Torch, bitch. Right there, man. And for some reason, it's only detecting 8 megabytes of RAM. That's kind of weird. These RAM modules are labeled as 512 megs, but I've had one motherboard detect 128. This one detects just 8. So we might have to swap that out. We're now booting from the floppy drive. This is the process I've been waiting for all of 2 days ago. Okay, so start computer with CD-ROM support. So knowing everything that I know now should just work perfectly. 8 megabytes is actually the recommended amount of RAM, not the minimum. So let's go to D here. This will be our Win95 setup. We'll let it do its F-disk thing because it oh fuck. Everything's sort of fixed here. I don't know. Hey, here we are, and pretty fast too. And it shouldn't crash on us. Usually it crashes at that screen. So we'll want to change it to a different directory just so we can differentiate from the others. We're going to keep it typical because we just want it to go, we want to be done. And to put all those rumors to rest, that's the document it wants. Yeah, I got it. Well, I don't have a network adapter or a sound card in this machine, so that's what fucked me up last time. No. Yes! Well, you've all seen this like 3 times on this channel so far. Holy crap, this is fast as fuck. As you can see, I added a little thing while I was messing around the other day. You can zoom in on the footage, and I believe it's focused enough and HD enough that you can make out what time it is and see how much time has passed. It's been mighty puttied on, along with the DB15 connector on top as well. Holy shit, that was fast. That was 5 minutes fast. A miracle of what you can do when you use the right hardware for Windows 95. I mean, and I know this is the right hardware for Windows 95 because it frickin' says it in the BIOS. So first, it's going to try to boot from the floppy, then it's going to try and boot from the CD drive, and then it's going to try and boot from the Patriot Torch. And let's see how long it takes. Well, it's not really time. Starting Windows 95. Oh yeah. On the SSD. So now it's smooth sailing right now. Not again. Not a fucking game. Luckily, we know how to get past that. Just have to restart it again. That's how we fixed it last time. Normal. See how it's working fine now? Was this just a problem with Windows 95? This isn't like the first release of Windows 95 here. Hello? This is like OSR 2, man. You must install a printer before... Oh, I was like, you must? Fuck off. It only took about one more attempt, and here we are. The exact same procedure used for the other machine. Here we are. We made it. Normal mode, no safe mode. All you had to do was just restart it a couple times, and you're fine. I wonder if it said that in the frickin' manual. Now, it doesn't have error in the index, but it does have the word protect, but only the word protecting. Nothing about a protection error. So we can dispense with our imagination of what the imaginary person who might have been setting this up in the 90s, who was totally clueless about this stuff, might have done, and instead let's focus on the actual video. As you can see, we've already set up Windows 95, and it only took us like 15 minutes. Holy shit. Now, what's going to take a long time is installing Windows 98, which is something I'm very familiar with. Now, unlike the Windows 95 CD, the Windows 98 CD is actually bootable. And surprisingly, this motherboard supports booting off of CDs. But let's see how Windows 95 reacts to that being inserted. And no, we do not want to upgrade. We want to install alongside. Now, the number one thing that's going to... And would you look at that? Even the CD fucking works. Okay, so let's restart this and see if it'll let us install it right next to it. Your computer already has an operating system installed on it. This version of setup is designed for computers that do not have an operating system. Can Windows 95 run without anything else? Win. You can't just run Win right out of the Windows 95 folder and expect it to work like it's Windows 3.1. If we want to do this the boneheaded way, one thing we could do is see if we can remove all of the files in the root of the hard disk, including the hidden ones, which could be trouble with the system file permissions. We could use the DOS attrib command to get around that, and we could move them all to a subfolder, and then run Windows 98 setup to see if it can see Windows 95 anymore. Let's do command prompt only. There we go. There we go. Completed successfully. Now I'm going to guess this is the magic file that tells it what operating system is running, because if you see right here, it says WinDIR, C Win95. So I'm going to guess that I can rename MS-DOS .sys as like Win95.sys or something like that. There we are. Now let's restart it and see if the Windows 98 setup will see it. Hey! No resistance. Looks like my theory was correct. MS-DOS.sys is how it detects the operating system. So it seems that different parts of the setup process can detect different portions of another OS being present. Wonder what else we need to delete. Doesn't need to be flagged as a system file. So that means that we can attrib all... Whoa, that was fast. Wait a minute. Can't I just do this? I'm a dumbass. Alright, so that means we will move all those folders with the DOS prompt into a subfolder. Move everything to 95 plus... Oh, shit. It moved directories too? No! Bad! We gotta move them back. I don't even know why it even let me do that. Okay, that was a little shaky. Alright. Well, that's all I really wanted to do. I'm surprised I was able to do that within Windows 95. Well then, okay, so I did the trib command, wildcard. This will no longer be bootable unless I move the stuff back. Let's shut down and restart and see if it's still bootable. Boot from hard disk. Invalid system disk. Okay, very good, because it's missing some files. So now we'll try to boot off the CD and see what Windows 98 has to say about it. Here we are again. Will it detect it? How the hell does it know that? Did it scan through the folders? It must have scanned through the folders. So I'm going to try and put... I don't know if it's going to let me do it. I'm going to try and move the Windows 95 folder into... Well, here's an idea. Can we restore what we've done? I don't know. We'll see if we can get Windows 95 booting again after we did that crazy-ass move. See. No. No. Yes. Yes. No. No. Yes. Yes. Okay. Let's see if it's bootable. Starting Windows 95. You can't see that, but you can see that. And of course we get the Windows protection error, but that does not mean what we did didn't work. There you go. Fixed. How do we hide? If it scans through all the folders, and it scans through everything, then that means that we need to put everything in here. It couldn't copy onto itself, I guess. So this is our real root of the drive. So it would need to go in one level deep and search. If it still finds it, I'll put it another level deep until it can't find it anymore. Surprised that Windows 95 lets you do this shit like that. It's fucking amazing and retarded at the same time. Haha! Schooled your ass! Oh yeah. Alright, so we successfully hid Windows 95 from Windows 98. This is retarded. Well, we know how this one ends. Let it run. So now it should boot from hard disk, right? Okay. Huh. Even Windows 98 gets some Windows protection error? Man, I got some really bad luck. Except this one you can't Control-Alt-Delete out of. Or maybe it's my SATA to IDE adapter does a bunch of weird shit. See, now it's fine. Oh, fuck, I'm not done! Hey! Ah, shit. This part. Successful install. Now, the likelihood that Windows 98 will let us do the same thing Windows 95 did with moving the system folder and everything along with it is very unlikely. Okay. Well, let me copy them. Did not move the Windows 98 folder because, well, it's all protected. So, everything else moved. I think I probably broke something, but... Yes! Cannot move, permission denied, permission denied. Abort. Uh-oh. I think I broke my installation already. Oh, yeah, I did. Crap. Well, I lost the sidebar. All this stuff needs to go back. How is that bad command or file name? Oh my god, I moved the move command and it doesn't work anymore! Copy? Oh, copy works. No. Okay, so does that mean I get my move command back? No. So as you can see, this did not work as well because we're not in just DOS right now, so that makes it harder. Let's see if the computer can still boot up to this. Wow, that sucks ass. I have to install Windows 98 again. Well, in the future, guys, boot off a CD first before you start moving system files around. You're gonna get incomplete copies and shit. Oh my god. Crap. I guess it only works in Windows 95. So basically what you saw from me bumbling around here for frickin' ever is that once a bunch of Windows files start to get moved around, now for whatever reason Windows 95 is totally okay with this. I'm not quite sure how. But once you have, as you can see, cannot move, cannot move, cannot move. And this is from Windows 95's DOS. I don't think I had this problem before. You'd have to attrib every folder and subfolder and remove all and fix all the permissions on all the... Well, I don't think it's really permissions, but it's attributes. That's what the thing means, attrib. You'd have to do that to every single file in the entire Windows directory to unflag it as a system so that it could be moved around from place to place. Now, as you can see, this is a very inconvenient way of getting your multi-boot operating system to work. And as of right now, I'm back at square one. I've messed up both operating systems and would have to reinstall Windows 95 and Windows 98 again. The margin for error, I mean, is pretty small because once you move something the wrong way, you're done and you have to reinstall all your operating systems. This would be by no means a good idea because if you mistype something on your day-to-day of switching your OSs in a weird-ass way, you could fuck up all of them, or maybe you could just fuck up one, but still, having to reinstall your operating system all the time? I mean, you'd be better off using multiple drives. Honestly, that's what you should do. So perhaps, maybe we should try multi-boot with multiple partitions. That seems like it would be the most pragmatic option. But how well does that work on an old motherboard like this? How does that handle booting off of individual partitions rather than just the disk level? Which partition wins? How do you... do I need to like run an old version of Grub? Or something like that? Some sort of bootloader? Fuck, I didn't even think about that. I need a bootloader for all this. That would probably make this all a lot easier. But fuck, with these old operating systems, I have no idea where to start. So this video is turning into a gigantic mess. So basically, what I was trying to do here was to install an operating system and then move everything to a subfolder. Install an operating system and move everything to a subfolder. Now, there are multiple ways of getting this done. The first with Windows 95 was exceptionally easy because you can just click and drag things and it doesn't complain. But with Windows 98, it's a different story and you run into a lot of errors. So, and especially even when you're using Win9X boot disk, trying to copy these back and forth out of a subfolder to then make it bootable again, it's totally unmanageable. It just doesn't work. I was thinking that maybe you could do it with Linux boot disk, but that was just as problematic. So down here, we can see that we're sort of kind of unknown as to what's going on with the boot sector. What I did learn through this process is that every time a copy of Windows gets installed, it modifies the boot sector, and it's modified every single time you install Windows. So in this case, Windows 95 changed it, and Windows 98 changed it, and of course it dumped things into the FAT32 partition. So this was the thing that we've just tried, and now we've come up with another idea here that seems like it's more reasonable. There are multiple ways you can select how the operating system will boot with all of the operating systems in the same partition, using some clever work with the configsys file and possibly even using a third-party tool called bootpart. I wrote this before I knew a lot of things about this, and again, the MS-DOS boot sector would be rewritten when Windows 95 and other things got installed, so this really wouldn't work either. This actually ends up being the most reasonable, even though it's called Extreme Detour Proposal, maximum 4 partitions, of course. So this really here is the way to go, to use a third-party bootloader, and then it ends up creating a menu. Now when you install Windows 95 and Windows 98, it ends up modifying the boot sector, so you have to go back and keep putting the third-party bootloader menu so that you can still select here and here. But that's not where the magic really begins. Hey, my menu worked. I made a menu, guys. Yeah, maybe that's my problem. Like my brain is like stopping on this. Like, there's so many ways to go, and I could go down any one of these roads. I could figure out Grub, I could figure out Windows XP, but the thing is that I'm hesitating because I know that every one of these things is a rabbit hole that's going to take 5 hours. I'm not going to get anything done. I'm not going to be any closer. So, I mean, rabbit hole 1 entered. Do we get C, G? That article is the only way you're going to get anything to work. But then I got to do NT4. But then somebody else said you can't do NT4. You want to know why? Oh, because it doesn't read FAT32. So how the fuck? Like, that's why I'm just fucking around now. Because I'm like, okay, well, I'm already stuck at step fucking 2. So you want me to go back to Windows NT 4.0? I mean, everybody, I'm just trying to believe what y'all are saying, man. And it's like, this is broken anyway, so I can just exit it. Fine. We'll do NT4. I'll just do it. Modify NT4 ISO and slipstream through the unofficial FAT32 driver among the other fixes. Ah! That's the Windows NT boot screen. Okay. Yeah, alright. Still going, bitch. Woohoo! Yeah, I'm looking at the WinWorld PC site, and all of them are weird-ass versions of it. It's like embedded, enterprise server, server, terminal server, workstation, but it's German, workstation, but it's Danish, workstation, but it's Dutch, workstation, but it's Finnish, workstation, but it's Italian, Korean, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Swedish, Pepsi Man! F7, 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 F7. 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 Uh-oh. F7. 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 It's too soon. F7. F7. One. F7. 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 Shit! F7, man! Freeze Pepsi into the shape of a toothbrush. Why use a water pick when you can use a Pepsi pick? All you gotta do to make a water pick a Pepsi pick is to pour Pepsi in it. And then you never use it again. Try F9. I turned it off and turned it off. You know what I'm saying? Go to the recovery console? How? So the bootloader's fucked. Pepsi loader is missing. Goodbye. Will this live stream become a video? Probably. Hard disk partition. Oh my god, this is a fucking. Look how many choices there are. Delete partition. Why is it not up? Good there. The Win 98. Have this one be Win 95. This one be DOS. This will be actually, what is this gonna be? Main? Probably is going to be a long video. A lot of it is just a wasted time being ignorant, really. Okay, so let's look at it with extended F-disk again. Okay, so it remembers those. Hey, what is this? This is fucking amazing! Haha! Error! I partitioned the drive 4 ways, like this, and then I also installed a boot manager that will point to each of these partitions. Now the problem is that none of the partitions are either not properly formatted, or I can't tell the installers of different things to install into the partitions. They're there, they're presumably formatted, but they're flagged as hidden, so I don't know how to unflag them as hidden. So let's go to options. So this doesn't give me a whole lot of options. I mean, it gives me a lot of options, but it doesn't give me exactly what I need. Oh, hide partition. There we go. Maybe if I go here, show partition. Show partition. It's just making it active. So I can only have one active partition at a time. I could install an OS, change the active partition, install an OS, change the active partition, install an OS, change the active partition, install an OS. And then the boot manager will be able to boot each one individually. So this currently does nothing, because there's nothing in these locations. So that won't do anything, because there's nothing there. I want to see if Windows 98 setup can find and format a partition. It detected C, guys. CD, that's that. E. Okay, because it's not active. Alright, very good. So C, no file. Alright. Okay. Now watch this shit. You ready? So if I go to DOS, doesn't do anything. Control Delete. Go to main. Starting MS-DOS. Fucking beautiful. Aha. Didn't see that. Didn't get set to active. Show. Hi. Activate. Show. Okay, perfect. Set 198 to active. Perfect. Perfect. Oh, what's this? What's checking this out? He's married. Let me go. Fucking. Don't fix it. Let me go look at it. Yes. There we go. Yay! Now it's time to play Everspace. We're going typical on this. I want set up to what? Install the okay. Oh shit. I'm just flying around and installing Windows 98 at the same time. Hey, it's my old ship. What game? That game. Luckily I know how to fix the out of range shit. Fixed it. One button to fix it. Tricking my capture card one bullshit at a time, man. Even got the music to play at 82% like Jiraga suggested. Very nice. It's awesome, isn't it? We get I'm calling my game. Oh. Yeah! Well, don't start Windows 98 again. God damn it. Let's just randomly make this the active one. Okay, guys. Moment of fucking truth. Are you guys ready for this? Okay, so main should have MS-DOS. MS-DOS. DOS, just fucking MS-DOS, it's fucking amazing. Now restart it. But now we go. We did main before, now we did Win98. Boom! Boom! Whoa! And then neither of those are even active partitions. We're doing it! We're doing it! I'll done show you how I done fixed the bootableness of this. But this one piece of software is what made it possible. I'll show you right here. So basically what this software did is it A, let me create partitions, and B, and the proper ones, like a FAT32 one. Let me actually change this one, for example, to FAT32. It automatically can install a boot manager into the boot sector of the drive, which points to and boots off of whatever partition you want. Setting that aside for a moment, you use this to set the currently active partition. That way, when you're installing an OS, It ignores everything else other than that. So you don't overwrite your DOS, you don't overwrite your Windows 98, and then it doesn't see that there's another operating system there, so you're pretty much good. Now, the good thing about this is that Windows can rewrite the MBR as much as it wants. And I can just automatically reset it and it's good to go again. It's fixed. Gotta open this up one more time to make sure it takes hold, and it did. Okay. All hail extended F-disk. Proceed with unconditional format. Never startup disk. We got the startup disks handled, I'll tell you that right now. Uh-oh. I've awakened the beast. Whoa! This is gonna get done installing like really fucking fast. Shoot that missile down. Shoot it down, ho! Oh yeah, that's horse shit. God damn it. You guys ready for a fuck you boss from Far Cry 3 right now? You guys ready to see this shit? Yeah! Alright. We got it! Okay, guys. Oh yeah. Okay, guys. Golden era, so good. What golden era? Are we talking about the same things? Okay, got it. You guys ready? Ready. So let's see if we can still boot from DOS. Starting MS-DOS. Pepsi Man! We boot with DOS? Can we boot Windows 95? It'll probably crash because it does that weird thing, but it's working. Yeah, so it does that, but that just means it's working technically. I don't have a CPU it should have a problem with. That's the weird part. I think the problem is my SATA to IDE adapter. That's what I think. So let me just try it one more time. There we go. So we just booted DOS. We booted Windows 95, Windows 98. Windows 98 booted faster than Windows 95. What the fuck? Yeah, my boy. Time for Windows ME. Okay, Windows 98 got set to be the active one for some reason. Okay, so DOS should have nothing on it. Okay, still active. Whoa! God, there's way too many of them. Oh my god, there's way too many of them. There's like 20. And I'm out of fucking energy. They're gonna tear me up. They're gonna just tear me up. Damage limiter is on. Oh my god, I have to use a jump gate. Oh no! That's bad. That's really bad. Fuck! Oh my god! Jesus. Oh. Not enough space. We gotta do compact. Yeah, compact works. Hey guys, we're at low disk space, but we're there. How little disk space do we have? Oh my god. Yes, let's uninstall everything. Like a fresh install saying your drive's too full. It's critical. Oh my god, Paint didn't install. Okay, so we have DOS, Windows ME, Windows 95, Windows 98. Right, the boot manager, partition table, restart. Okay, good. Kind of weird thing is that there's FAT16 and FAT32 partitions on the same drive, which is spooky. Alright, so main is MS-DOS. Alright, so Windows 95 is going to be the next on the list. It might not actually work because Windows 95 sucks, even on the right hardware. No, never mind, it did it! Yay! Alright, Windows 98. That's a much shittier background that I made. And then we're gonna do Windows ME, which says DOS for some reason, but trust me on this. Previous song was Deep in Her Eyes. There you have it. Well, oh, I forgot to install Windows 3.1. Ah, shit! I dropped all my CDs. Yeah, I only have 4 partitions. Like, I already knew that was a limitation. But I'm gonna have 5 operating systems. Yeah, doing this with 1 partition would have been fucking impossible. But I now have the ultimate 9x boot SSD, man. I guess I could use extended partitions, but oh my god, fuck that confusion and bullshit. Ridamare! Yeah, man. Man, that is a reward from a fucking hard-ass amount of work. There's the proper brightness, by the way. I'm not playing this because people are going to say how I suck at it. You get the idea, it works. It wasn't exactly 640 by 480, but whatever. There you go. Or is the insanely high detailed rock? Oh yeah, good point. We did it, guys. We did it. We're done. Now I just need to edit the video. Fuck. So this is how I really ended up doing it. I partitioned the disk with extended fdisk. This allows me to sequentially make a bunch of 500 meg partitions and give them a name. And these names link in with the boot menu that this software can also write to the boot sector of the hard disk. So you name these partitions and it links in with this menu that it makes in the boot sector and points to each one of these ones. So that means that every time this drive is detected by BIOS and is booted, it reads the boot sector first and presents this menu. Now this menu, when you select an item on it, it will point to whichever partition you select. Now these are not named exactly like these, but basically that's what happens. So the way to do that is to take your install disk and you're installing each one of these every time. Now again, you have all 4 and max 4 partitions set up first. Then you install DOS in this. First you have to make you have to make this partition active, and then you install it. And then when it's done, you make another partition active, and then install that. Make another partition active, install that. Make another partition active, install that. So at the end of all of it, every single operating system will want to fight over this boot sector. Every single time you install another OS, it will change it. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to consistently keep going back and changing it with extended F disk, so that it will represent this menu. Now, every time you set up partition active, preparing for an install, the only thing the installer will see is a C drive and nothing else, because every other drive, every other partition is hidden. And although that might seem inconvenient, and of course you won't be able to transfer files to and fro from each partition, it means that you can do the whole setup much easier. All you have to do is format C and then install your operating system. Format C and install your operating system every single time you've changed partition. And at the end of it, you'll have all formatted partitions, and they'll all have installed operating systems. And the end result is you have a multi-booting machine off of one drive. Sure, I couldn't do it off of one partition, but holy crap, it seemed like it was a lot easier than I thought it was. It's really just elementary processes that you have to do in a certain order, and then you're done. It's a lot easier than I thought it was. So that's the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did, and thanks to everybody on the stream that was helping out when I was trying to figure out all this crap. Everybody got to see live when I first got this figured out. If you're interested in watching that entire stream or any of my other streams that I've done, I have a playlist on my channel page that has a link to all of my streams that I've done. They're just unlisted. So if you ever want to watch a stream, just go there. So again, thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.